Chat's pretty quiet today. All right. Day 5, hydrothermal adventure, or hydrothermal venture. You come across a field of hydrothermal vents on the ocean floor. These vents constantly produce large opaque clouds, so it'd be best to avoid them if possible. They tend to form in lines. The submarine helpfully produces a list of nearby lines of vents. Your puzzle input for you to review. For example, 0 to 9, or sorry, this is a line, so 0, 9 until 5, 9. Okay. Each line of vents is given as a line segment in the format of x1, y1 goes to x2, y2, where x1, y1 are the coordinates of one end of the line and x2, y2 are the coordinates of the other end. These line segments include the points at both ends. In other words, an entry of 1, 1 covers points 1, 1, 1, 2, and 1, 3. Okay. For now, only consider horizontal and vertical lines. So the horizontal and vertical lines from the above list would produce the following diagram. Okay. So this is like a 2D grid. And what do the numbers mean? In this diagram, the top left corner is 0, 0. The bottom right corner is 9, 9. Each position is shown as the number of lines which cover that point. Okay. Interesting. So let's grab our puzzle, our test input. We're going to go over here. I am going to quickly stage this change here. Day 4. This is day 4, part 2. Okay. Let's make a directory for day 5. Add a day 5. Day 5.swift. Yeah. This will be day 5.test. And let's add that resource, day 5.test. Okay, so we've got a coordinate that we need to read that will be split on this little white space thing, and then another coordinate, and that will give us our line. And then we need to essentially loop over and see how many lines intersect that. Should be pretty easy, I think. So we will have a struct for a coordinate. This will have an x and a y. Then we'll have a line segment, which will have 2 coordinates. Maybe coordinate, maybe? Or I could do like A and B or something like that, start and end. Maybe let's just do that, because I'm going to have to unwrap these anyway. Okay. And then, so parsing the file is going to give me all the line segments. So let's do a static func parse, and this will be given a single line of input and return a line segment, optionally if it's valid. And then same thing for coordinate. We're going to have a parse on coordinate, which will take our coordinate string. This will trimming characters in white spaces. Then we will split on the separator comma. And then each one of these, so this is going to be an array of 2 strings, and I can map this to let's see, how do I want to do that? It's like I want to split it in half. because there should only be 2. So this would be like parts is that assert parts dot count is equal to 2. And then here I can just say return dot init. This needs to return a coordinate actually. We're going to say guard let x equals int for parts 0. We can actually say values equals parts.map int.init. And then values.count equal 2. In that case, we can just say, else return nil. Not sure why it. And then we can say return here coordinate x values 0, y values 1. Is it not white spaces? White spaces? I think I want compact map here, and then we can just, yeah, let's add that here. Compact map each one of these to int.init. Then we just have parts already. And then we can say guard parts.count equal 2, otherwise return nil. And here we can return parts. And I can use my newfound superpower Shift 8 or asterisk to search for that word, then colon s / parts / g. Enter. Neat. Okay, and I need to return something here. So at this point, I should have returned a single coordinate given that string. This one gives me a line, and I want to take that line and I want to split this on the separator for that arrow. And all of them have a space, so I'm just going to include the space here, and we should be able to get 2 parts there. And I want to map each one of those to coordinates. And then guard coordinates.count is equal to 2, otherwise return nil. And then return dot init. Start is coordinates 0, and end is coordinates 1. Cannot convert value of string to expected type string.element. Because line is no, line is a string. Oh, it wants a character. I can only split on a single character. Interesting. I didn't realize that. Okay. Could use scanner for this. How do I want to do that? I mean, one cheesy way is to say, I'm going to do that. And then each one of these lines will have to take out white space and the dash character. Trimming characters in white spaces, and then replacing occurrences of, what is that called? Dash replacing occurrences of colon. that with empty string. And then we can map those to coordinate.parse. Does that work? Value of type array slice.element has no member trimming characters. Let's turn it into a string. I don't know what I did there. Let me move this onto its own line to make this a little easier to read. Okay, what are you complaining about? Replacing occurrences of with. Replacing occurrences of with. This is on NS string in Foundation. Is that why we don't have it? Let's see. Swift standard library. This is on NS string. I imagine this is with replacing occurrences of. Does this require Foundation? No. Did I spell it wrong? Replacing occurrences of : with. I did spell it wrong. Bam. Okay. And then does not need Foundation. Okay. Optional type coordinates. Why is that? Coordinate.parse. Oh, yeah. We need compact map here because these coordinates can be... this is optional return value, so we want to eliminate any that didn't parse. Okay. So at this point, I think we have our parsing logic done. So I can say input .lines.map line segment.parse. And then let lines equals, let me call this line segments to avoid the connotation that this is a line of strings. And then let's just print out line segments like that. We'll go over to main. We will add that. Day5.run. Build. Run. There we go. Okay. Line segments are again optional, so I want to compact map that out, but we do have some line segments. I think I would like to output something similar to this so we can see that it is working. So this will be a compact map as well. Okay. For segment in line segments, print segment dot debug description. And so we will do that here. This will print out the start.debug description, and then an arrow, and then end.debug description. And then I need the same thing up in coordinate, which will grab x, comma, y. Okay, 0959. Let's just double check this input real quick. 0959 8008 9434. Okay. So I think we have, our data ready to go. We need to now print out a board or a map or something. What do I want to call this? Struct ocean map. And then we need to know, let's see, how big is this map? So we'll initialize this with a width and a height, I think, and save those off. Let width is width. Okay. Then I want to, let's see, we want to add some line segments. And what are these things called? Hydrothermal vent. Add hydrothermal vent line. And that will take the line segment. Not sure what I want to do here, but I do want to print out the board. So we'll say debug description here. And I can say for X in 0 to width. And I also want to say for Y in 0 to height. And I want to do that one first. So I can do, oops, this here. Okay, so for each character here, I want to print out a dot. And this is going to be basically how many lines intersect this point. And I have XY here, so that's what I need to answer. For now, I'm just going to print that with a terminator of empty string so that it'll continue printing. And then at the end of here, actually, this needs to return a string. So let's say output is an empty string. I can say output plus equals, like that. And then at the end of every one, I'm going to say output plus equals a new line. Yeah. And then return output. Okay. So at this point, if I say var floor is ocean map, where I pass in a width of, and here I want to know what is the maximum width that we have. So this will be line segments dot map to, I need to know all of the coordinates. So I'm going to say flat map here so that I can get the dollar, I'm going to return an array, $0.start and $0.end. But I want one array with all of these, right? And then for each one of those, let me see if I may need to do this on a separate line here. So that gives me all points. And then I want to map the points into their X values here. So this will be mapping each one to their X value. And then I want to take the maximum. And then let's just say we at least have a 1 by 1. So this will be max width is there. And then max height is essentially the same thing. But here I'm going to do max Y. So then here, this will be max width. Height will be max height. Okay. So now I have the ocean floor. I'm printing out these line segments. So then I want to say floor.add hydrothermal vent line segment. And at the very end, I'll say print floor .debug description. Okay, so we process our lines, and then I've got my floor. Okay, that part is all working. I don't love the fact that I'm using the iteration in the debug description to do the calculation. So I think that this ocean map may need to just have an internal representation of hydrothermal vent coordinates. Hydrothermal vent coordinates. And then each line would add all the coordinates to this. So this would just be an array of coordinate. And then there would be duplicates in here because these lines are going to... there would be duplicates in here because these lines are going to cross. So the question then is, do I want to keep a count at that coordinate and have some sort of dictionary instead? If I do this, this won't work because coordinate is not hashable. But it could be because it's just made up events. So let's do that. Let's initialize it to an empty thing. Let's go to coordinate. And we will make it hashable. And probably equatable as well. And again, because it's just 2 ints, we get that conformance for free. This is going to be, I think, private for now, because I don't really know what I'm going to do with this. So now that I have this line segment, I'm going to compute and store it in this array here. So this line segment, I want to get all of the coordinates. And once I have all those coordinates, let's see, this would be for each, I guess, coordinate in. And this would set hydrothermal vent coordinates for this coordinate. And then this would have to be a, we would have to, if this exists, then it needs to increase by 1. I kind of feel like there is a dictionary method. Dash Swift dictionary. So update value for key is one option. Could use a grouping by to figure it out. And that would be creating it at the very end. Where is the... Huh. I don't, so if I can't do plus equals, right? Because this is going to be nil by default. And so is it possible for me to set the default value for a dictionary for any new key? I don't think so. I may be mixing this up because I know you can do this in Ruby. Subscript has a default value. So, and the default value is here. So I can say default's 0 plus equals 1. Okay. And then left side of mutating operator isn't mutable. Okay, so we'll have to do this in 2 steps. So let count is this or 0. And then hydrothermal vent coordinates dot update value, or we could just use chord equals count plus 1. I don't really see how this is any better though than just saying or 0 there. I don't know. Okay, let's add this coordinate method on line segment. So this method coordinates will return an array of coordinates, and we're assuming that these are we know that these are all in a line. So either the x's are the same or the y's are the same. And I want to make that assertion kind of up front. So this will be start.x equals end.x or start.y equals end.y. Okay, so this cannot assign through subscript. Yeah, that should be fine. So we can just start from 0 to, no, start.x to end.x. And I'm not quite sure if I need to do like min max on this. So this is going to map and give me my x value. And then I can do start.y, end.y. That'll give me my y value. And then I can, this will give me an array, right? So if I just say, oh, this is interesting. Okay. If I get arrays of pairs, then I can create coordinates. So this would be coordinate for x, x, y, y. So that would give me an array, and I want to flatten it here. Something like that. Okay, what are you complaining about? Self is immutable. That is true. Mutating func. Then I think that could I have done this the way I tried to do earlier? Defaults is 0 plus equals 1. Can I do that? I can. Oh, okay. That's way better. I like it. Okay, so now we're adding all of the coordinates and their counts to this array. So the downside of this is that the search for a coordinate is going to be n. Let's see, is that right? Yeah. So the more coordinates, we have no like, no, that's not true. It'll be constant time because I will have the x and y, and I need to know how many that has. So in the ocean floor or ocean map, what did I call it? Ocean map. We're adding all of them in here, and when in our debug description, we need to get the chord at this place. So this would be coordinate x, x, y, y. And then we want to figure out what is the count. So this output here is going to say hydrothermal vent coordinates for this coordinate with the defaults of 0. And if that equals 0, then we're going to output a dot. Otherwise, we're going to output the count. So let's do that in 2 steps. I could probably do this in 2 steps, actually, because we only care about this. It'll only have values for non-zero numbers anyway, so this returns a nil, and I can flat map this to string.init to get a string out of that, or dot. So we're going to call this the mark. And then the output plus equals mark. Okay, assertion failed on line 99. Okay, start is equal to start x, end is equal to end. I thought that that was guaranteed. Let's look at the output again. It didn't output at all. Coordinates. So I was trying to do it on the very first one. Either that or I wasn't printing them yet. For segment, should have printed this before doing it, and it didn't print it. Why did it not print the segments debug description first? I want to quickly just verify that I'm not missing some output here. I am. Yeah, I think what's happening here is that when I do like shell and output some file, something, and I say ls, then it like outputs this, right? But if I say ls foo, it's instead giving me standard error instead of standard out, and I don't think it gives me both of them. I think it's saying, oh, there was an assertion, so here is the assertion failed. So I need to figure out how to get both of those in the buffered output. So I'm not sure. In any case, this is a line segment from 80 to 08. Which is a diagonal line. So what does it say about diagonal lines? For now, only consider. Okay, so I'm just going to skip over ones that are not diagonal. So yeah, we're going to change this to an if. For now, omit diagonals. If guard start x is index or that, otherwise return an empty array, so no points will be considered. Okay. Let's see, range requires lower bound greater than upper bound. Okay, so at this point, our I don't remember what line that was, but probably this one. We need to know what the min x is, min of start x and n.x. And then we need to know the max x is max. And we need to know the same thing for y. Let's see if I can do this. So this will be colon s slash y, no, slash x, y. Oh, no, that didn't work. And it needs to be case sensitive. No, that didn't really work exactly like I wanted it to, but min y, max y. Okay. No, max. Yeah, that was a poor substitution. Min x up to max x. Min y up to max y. There we go. Okay. It didn't work at all. Okay, let's double check that as we're looping over these coordinates and we ask for a hydrothermal vent coordinate, let's just print out the vent chords values here. It was empty. Okay. Let's see. And that means our coordinates were returning nil every time. Let's look at this guard that one of those equals that. I'm assuming that it's just getting caught up in that guard, but no. Okay. Building coordinates for 0959. It skipped that one, which is correct. Okay. And then let's go to this guy right here. No, it's this one that's the problem. It's never getting there. What am I missing here? For each line, we add the line segment there. Processing line. And then we'll say coordinates is line dot coordinates. Okay. And processing line. So it has this line. And then it's building the coordinates for that, and it returns 0. Okay. Well, what did I do wrong in the coordinates function? Okay. Min is the minimum of that, and we're going from min x to max x. And then min y is, let's see. So in the case, let's just run it over here so I can see it. In the case of this very first one, we should be getting 0, 9, 1, 9, 2, 9, 3, 9, etc. And we're not. So the min x should be 0, and the max x should be 5 on that one. Min x is min x. Max x is max x. Let's just print that out. Say 0 and 5, that's correct. And then the min y and max y, it's because they are the same value. So I do need to include the numbers in min and max. And it did tell me that, and I should have paid a little bit closer attention. So when I go to min and max, I need to include this number. Okay. Okay. build, run. Okay, and we get to the output. Okay, so we've got something that looks like that. And let's take a look at this output. That looks pretty close, but not the bottom. What happened to the bottom? Everything else about it looks correct. The very bottom row is formed by the overlapping lines. Each position in the... I'm not outputting the whole grid. That's why. So again, in the debug description for the ocean floor, again, we are not going for the full size. I kind of want this to be like that, and then when I'm building it and I get the max number, if the max number is, we always know that 0 is the minimum, and the max number is 9. That actually means the width is 10. So here, this needs to be max width plus 1 and max height plus 1. And that should make more sense. Yep, now we get that last row. Okay, so to avoid the most dangerous areas, you need to determine the number of points where at least 2 lines overlap. In the example above, this is anywhere in the diagram of 2 or larger, a total of 5 points. At how many points do at least 2 lines overlap? Okay, so once I'm done with all of that, we can say at least 2 lines overlap and the number of points. So that's just a count. And so we can say floor dot hydrothermal vent lines. We can say overlap count for min overlaps of 2 or something like that. And then print out the count here. Okay, so that overlap count needs to be returned here. Var overlap, or func overlap count with a min overlaps int, which returns an int. And this one will use that hydrothermal vent coordinates, and we can filter values, I think we can do here. Let's see, dash filter values. Let's look at dictionary again. Filter, and that gives me a new dictionary with keys and values, and then I can count how many keys there are. Or just count how many there are. Yeah. So that's just filter. Okay. So, and we're given the key and the value in the filter. Dictionary key value dot element, which is a tuple of key and value. Okay. So that should be key value in, and we're going to return value greater than or equal to min overlaps. And then we can return the count of those. Okay, at least 2 lines overlap, and we got the number 5, which is correct. So let's try our actual puzzle input. Oh, this is huge. And let's go. I want to actually delete some of our output here because we have a lot of it. Yeah, it's probably better. This will be day 5 input, which we need to then add in our resources. Day 5.input. Paste that there. Okay. Let's see. I want to look at this input again because these numbers are huge, and I am actually storing quite a bit of data in between there, which probably would not be necessary, because then we can just check an intersection function. Yeah, that's interesting. Is it going to actually run? Let's see. So we're using 10 megabytes at the moment of memory, and it's still running. I definitely should have run this in terminal. I'm just going to run it here so we should actually start seeing some results. And I don't want to print out anything that isn't using the debug description either. But this is just totally locked up. Yeah, it is definitely interesting that once you get your puzzle input, it may change your solution, because what's the point of storing every single integer between 2 points of a line when you can compute the fact that this point intersects this line without storing all that data? Okay, I am going to kill the process because that clearly isn't working. I do want to see, like, if it runs. Let's look at our print statements here. Yeah, I don't want to print that. Is that it? So we'll print out each line segment, and then at the very end, the floor description. Okay, let's build, and I'm going to run it in here so we can actually see the output as it's going. Yeah, so I think that was actually just a problem with trying to buffer all this in Vim. So 5,145 lines intersect. Let's try it. Okay, you are 1 gold star closer to finding the sleigh keys. I would like to continue to part 2. Hopefully we can get this done. Unfortunately, considering only horizontal and vertical lines doesn't give you the full picture. You also need to consider diagonal lines. Because of the limits of the hydrothermal vent mapping system, the lines in your list will only ever be horizontal, vertical, or a diagonal line at exactly 45 degrees. In other words, an entry like 1, 1 to 3, 3 covers points 1, 1, 2, 2, and 3, 3. Okay, perfect. An entry like 9, 7, 7, 9 covers 9, 7, 8, 8, and 8, 9. Considering all lines from the above example, now produce the following diagram. Okay, let's work on adding diagonal lines. I think that in this case, it's actually not that hard if I still want to brute force it. Let's go back to the day 5 test code. And when we go down to adding the coordinates for a given line, we don't care about this, but I can no longer just loop over all the X's and Y's, right? Or can I? Yeah, because we're basically saying that they increase by 1. So I think I can get rid of this, and that would still work, because each time they increase by 1 on both of them. Okay, let's run that. See our output. No, that is not correct. That is doing for every X and for every Y. Yeah, we definitely can't do that. Yeah, that's like filling in. That's filling in a 2D area. So if I had something going from 0, 0 to 1, 1. Okay, so this definitely changes how I need to do this calculation. Because this needs to change every time. Right? You don't always restart at the min y value. You'd have some sort of like var y equals min y outside of here. And then here we would, so looping over all the x's, we start with min y, and I actually think that because this is problematic because we need to know which is the bigger dimension. Because let's say we had something like this where we were going 0, 0 to this one. We can't just loop over these two, right? I have to have the entire range of y value differences and the entire range of x value differences. So it's like I need to start with the bigger of the two. But I don't know that. Like if this was rotated, then I would have to iterate the other way around. Let's see. What? I calculated the difference in direction for each line. What do you mean the difference in direction? Like whether the x's are bigger or y's are bigger, and then do the calculation in 2 steps. So you could say like if the min x or max x minus min x is greater than the max y minus min y, something like that. And then I need to process the loop in that order. Is that what you mean? If the line is horizontal, x would be 0. If the line is horizontal, x would be 0, but x would either be -1 or 1, right? Sorry, y. If the line is horizontal, the difference in y would be 0. Okay, so the problem with this approach, just so I can go back to it for a second, I start at, say my numbers were supposed to be 0, 0 to 1, 5. Say this was my 0, 0 to 1, 5. This was my input. So min x and max x goes just becomes 0 and 1. So the first time through is 0, and then we start at the oh wait, I could never actually get this. It would have to be a complete diagonal line. So that would yeah, let me do this instead. So for each line, you can calculate the direction of the line. Horizontal lines would be y is 0. X would either be 1 or -1. For vertical, it would be the opposite. For diagonals, x and y would change in some direction. There's no guarantee that y would be 0 unless you're calculating the difference between max y and min y, in which case, yeah, that dimension would be flat, so it would be 0. Is that what you mean? So you're kind of calculating the slope? Okay, so this will be 0, 0 to 3, 3. So the first time through this would be 0, then that would be 0, which would be correct. Yes, exactly. That's what I did for part 2. Okay. Oh, and then you add the slope to the value at for each coordinate. Yeah, I think that actually... I think that actually might be better. My question though is, okay, so if I have 0 here and then 0 here, that first coordinate I get is correct. And the next time through I have 1 here and 0 here, and that's not correct. So that's definitely why it's not working. Okay, so in this case, so what we're saying is if we calculate the slope, which is going to be max x minus min x over, no, this needs to be y's first, min y over max x minus min x, then I'll have the slope of the line, and I could start at the actually, I don't even need max and min at this point, I don't think. Do I? Because then I could start at start x and just add the slope until I get to end. Not start, but end. So this would essentially be going again from min to max. And then this definitely, obviously, right, this is like all x values times all y values, right? So this is like, this nested loop is clearly the problem. But I'm wondering if we could start at the start and continually add the slope. Something like this, p plus equals slope. Well, I don't have plus equals at the moment, but I could say calculate the slope. You start from a point until you've reached the point B for each line. Yeah, that's essentially what I'm trying to do here. So I'll take a new point P is a coordinate that is P dot with whose x value and whose y value I need the coordinates to be an array of coordinates. It's empty array. At the very end, return chords. I'm dangerously in infinite loop territory if I'm wrong on my math. So at some point, I still have to go like from min x to max x. Like, yeah, this is why it's dangerous to do this kind of code in a playground. I also kind of want to draw, but then I don't want to draw and not have that show up on the screen. So beware the computing it that way. It may leave gaps in your lines. Why would that be if I'm incrementing by 1 every time? Your chords are integers, yes. And we know that they're 45-degree angle. So I could see what you're saying if we were doing floating point math and then converting to an integer. It wouldn't work, but 45-degree angles is an assumption. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going from left to right. So every time, this would be p dot x plus 1, and then the slope here would be p dot y times the slope. No, plus the slope. So if it's a flat line, then these two are 0, and that becomes a slope. Oh, I also have a divide by 0 possible problem for a vertical line. So in that, yeah, I would need to handle that separately. Because for a vertical line, we would end up here. It's kind of like I want this to be the y increment and x increment to be 1 unless the line is vertical. And then I could still have the same loop and say this is the x increment and this is the y increment. That way I could avoid potential divide by 0 issues. So the x increment is going to be 1 unless the line is vertical. So if max x equals min x, then it's 0, otherwise 1. And if it's a vertical line, then the y increment will be 1. So if max x equals min x, then y increment will be 1. Otherwise, it'll be this slope. Start at the start point. We will chords.append p. Then we'll assign it to a new point. And if that point is the end, then we break out of here. My solution actually drew into the grid. I didn't realize all the lines. Yeah. I also think that this solution that I have right now, the math may work to my favor, but adding it all to this array and having this huge array of lines is not at all great for memory. But I think that the math here could then be used instead of saying, does this line intersect, like change this into a function like, does this line intersect this point? And we still do this math and we just return true as soon as we find it. But I'm a little bit worried about this because yeah, I think that's essentially what I'm doing here, right? Delta between point A and B. So the slope is delta dot x is 1 if the delta dot x is greater than 0, negative 1, delta dot x is 0, and if delta dot x is 0, yep. Okay, so the how can I put some safety around this? I don't want to continue on forever. while p not equal end, and p dot, because we're continually increasing, right? I also want to assert that x inc greater than 0 or y inc greater than 0, because otherwise I would just be appending the same thing over and over again. So just a quick assertion there. And I want to make sure that the p dot, that at least one of the values is less than that start point. So if the p dot x is less than or equal to the end points x, or rather max x, and p dot y is less than or equal to the max y. I agree with you, but I just feel like I'm trying to protect myself against the inevitability that I have a bug, and that I will have to kill the process again to get out of it. So it's just a little bit of a sanity check. Also, if they said, 45-degree angles aren't a requirement, let's burn some CPU, yeah. If they said it wasn't a requirement anymore and I have to do some floating point math, then all of a sudden I may get a point that would round to be the same as end, but actually not be exactly the same number. Okay, let's build that. I'm going to run that in terminal here. And it looks like I did not get the correct answer. I got a similar looking graph, didn't I? It looked different on here. Yeah. Something else is wrong. So this one is working. This one is not. So I have another diagonal line here that I don't even see here as well. This one, that way, I think. Yeah. So that is a line who ends at 0, 3. Do I have any of those? Starts or ends on 0, 3? Actually, there should be more than one of those, because otherwise it wouldn't show up on the chart if there were 0, right? Where at least 2 lines overlap. So I could be processing the coordinates, but at least 2 lines overlap. What am I missing here? How could I possibly get this one? That would be 0, 1, 2. Oh, sorry, that's 0, 2. Do I have a 0, 2 in here? I have a 2, 0. Did I get my numbers backwards? And there's nothing that extends beyond that range, so it would literally have to be 0, 2 to be here, and I would have to have more than one of those. And it could either end there or start there, but it couldn't pass through that point because I have none that are negative, right? It can't go beyond the end of the array. So how is this puzzle output possible? Zero 9 to 5 9 would be here, and then to here, this whole line, right? No, 0 x to that one. Oops. It's this whole line here. 80. So that is 8 points over. That's this one to 0.8, which is that one. Would be kind of nice to draw this out instead of using ASCII art. Because I did build it, I believe. Yeah. Okay, just looking at the input and looking at their output here. How on earth could two lines intersect at this point? One of them could be horizontal and one could be vertical. Or I suppose there could be two horizontal lines covering the top. But if that were the case, then all of them would be one. So do we have an entry that is always 0 for the y? No. We have no line going straight across the top. So because the 1 indicates that there's only one line at this point, right? So that one would either have to be a vertical line here or this horizontal line here, something like that. 64 to 20. Did I miss that? 64 to 20. Oh my goodness, it's right in front of me. Thank you for being my second pair of eyeballs. 64 to 20 would do it. Goodness gracious, that was painful. Thank you for that. Okay, so when I'm calculating all these coordinates, I'm appending the coordinate, then I compute the new one, and I don't think I'm appending the end point. I think I need that last one there to add the end onto it. Still isn't working. 64 to 20. It's interesting, and interestingly, we can mess around with this and just say floor dot add hydrothermic vent line for a line that starts at x is 6, y is 4, and ends at 20. I was stuck at day 6 for like 10 hours because I'm down the wrong rabbit hole for way too long. Oh, great. I'm trying to keep these streams really short. That doesn't bode well for the future of me doing this live. We'll see what happens, though. What's wrong here? Build. Okay, run. Okay, so yeah, so our calculation is like completely wrong because I'm only getting these two lines instead of getting it all the way up. So well, you'll have to be around for you'll have to be around for when I inevitably make the same mistake, and you can tell me just the hint. You're going down the wrong rabbit hole. Okay, in this line segment code, we can sort of print out our coordinate each time. Print P is, because we're only doing the one line, I think once we get this done, it perhaps will work for all the other lines. P is coordinate 6, 4. And it only does the one line. Did it not start at the... I didn't start at the start point. I started at... I need to start at the minimum. Let's see. I can't always start at the minimum x or the minimum y. I need to start at the one whose increment. So if x increment is greater than 0, then I need to start our point at the one that has the smallest x. Yeah, I guess I'm getting there. I don't necessarily have to complete each part in a day. I can, in fact, I only have a few more minutes to finish this one, so hopefully I'll get it done. But yeah, I'll just have to stream my solution and just continue to work on it as I have time. Okay, so if the x increment is greater than 0, then I need to grab either the start or the end point and do min by. Can I do that? Swift min by. No. Let me look at array. Min by. Yeah. Are in increasing order. So we return true if they're in increasing order. Otherwise, saying it, return true if you need to swap them, basically. Okay, so min by, and that's going to give me, we can pass in $.x. And if not, if x is greater than 0, we're going to do that. Otherwise, we're going to get the y's maybe. Start end dot min by y. Doesn't like that at all. Yeah, I can't do that. I can do this in Ruby, but not in not this way, because we get A and B, and I need to return true if A.x is in increasing order. No, A.x less than B.x. Yeah. Otherwise, I min by AB in A.y less than B.y. Okay, this is very hard to read. I think I should probably break this out into a separate function. Okay, so at this point, we are assuming that we have a P. So guard var P else fatal error, can't find a start point. Okay, build. I did something along the lines of while P not equal segment, I increase P to the slope of X and Y. P starting at segment start, of course. Yeah, I guess that because I'm doing this min-max stuff, I am always increasing by an increment that I'm assuming to be positive. If I allow the slope to be negative, then that makes this way easier, because then you just add to it and it doesn't matter. Okay, this also is broken. Wait a second. Let's see. We need to know. And it picked the end point. Yeah, this sucks. I do want to start at the start and end at the end, because I started at the end, and so it screwed it up. So here I want to say that P is at the start. And in this case, I don't want to do max minus. Yeah, I don't want to do this. I want to do start dot. End dot y minus start dot y, and end dot x minus start dot x. And in this case, let's do is vertical is end dot x equals start dot x. And then I can say is vertical And then here is vertical. We'll do 1, otherwise that. And then in this case, I think that, no, I wouldn't. This greater than thing probably doesn't work anyway. You solve the problems using Odin. What is Odin? I've never even heard of that. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this protection right here for now because I think that everything is correct. Also, the x increment and y increment no longer are greater than 0. Yeah, I'll at least know by recursive or repeated forever coordinates. Yeah, so infinite loop there. Max, min. It would, but I don't understand that yet. Like, I think that you can write that code, or rather write the code that I'm writing and then distill it into what you just said. But I don't think I would arrive at that. So we're saying get the difference between x's, get the minimum of that difference or 1, and then get the maximum of that and -1. Okay, I want to print out print x inc and y inc so I can see them. Code does not format well here. Yeah. Line. Is this Python? Yeah, I see what you're saying. Slope is always -1 or positive or 0 or +1. Yeah, I see what you're saying there. Goodness. So they were both 1 in this case, which wasn't correct because I'm using 6.4 to 2.0, I believe. 6.4 to 2.0. So I think I need these to be backwards. Start and end. Start and end. Oh crap, I don't want to do that. Okay, 6.4. Yeah, these increments are not working because the slope of x needs to actually decrease. Yeah, you're right. It can't be 1 because I need to know if end x is less than yeah. If start.x minus n.x is negative, then it's -1. Otherwise 1. That is horrible to read. Yeah. We won't have to care about direction. We have a correct slope for each line. Yes. How did you avoid? So you need to check to see if x equals. You need to check to see if x equals itself for both. Otherwise, you can't do this stuff. If I did this, start x minus end x. That will give me a negative number, a positive number, or 0. I feel like there's another elegant solution here. Positive, negative, or 0. Yeah. Like, doing it in ternaries is awful. Let's do slope. It's not slope. This is going to be the increment for a for two numbers. X int, Y int. No, this would be P1, P2. That'll give me an int. Guard P1 not equal to P2, else return 0. Well, let's just let the diff be P1 minus P2. If diff is 0, return 0. If diff is less than 0, return negative 1. Otherwise, return 1. And I suppose that this could be reduced into a ternary, which might make it a little bit less, but I don't know. Sometimes ternaries are pretty gross. Okay, so that would be inc for start.x and end.x. And then here, same thing, increment for start.y, end.y. Build. Let's run it and quickly, nope. Go back up. No, what happened? Let's see. So the x1, just thinking about the x1, this was 6 and this was 2. So we do 6 minus 2 and we get 2. I think I need these to be reversed because of the order that I'm doing them later on. All right. Oh, it worked. Hallelujah. Okay. Okay, get rid of these print statements. I also don't need max and min anywhere, do I, in that section? No. Okay, perfect. Let's go back to this and get rid of that debugging code. Yeah. Nope. Build. Run. And we get 12 now, and that looks pretty correct. The answer was 12. Okay, let's use it on the test input. I mean the live input. Builds. And run. All right. Yay! That was pretty dang painful. Thanks for sticking with me. As a bonus, reuse this code for part 1. Well, this code is reused for part 1. Well, I think as a bonus, what I probably should do is to avoid just storing all the coordinates because that's a waste, and just changing this. So right now, when we're adding it, instead of adding this, we should add lines. And then the overlap count, this one should say does this line intersect, like, you know, given, sorry, this would like loop over all points and then just like get all lines that intersect X, Y. And so that would be looping over all the lines that I have. And that would be more efficient in this regard because there are less lines than there are overlapping coordinates. Because the lines are longer. If you had lots of lines, then maybe that would actually be less. But yeah, brute force it until it's a pain. I did see a couple of meme images on Reddit, the Advent of Code Reddit, that mentioned that the brute force solution was like really horrible for memory on one of the days, and I don't remember which day that was. But again, I'm trying not to like poison my solutions by watching other people do this, because I think part of the thing is struggling for it. Lanternfish Day 6. Okay, well, that's the next one I'll be doing. Okay, I will commit all of this stuff. Commit day 4, part 2. No, this was day 5, right? Yeah, this is all day 5. Sweet. Okay, that'll be the end of the stream. Thanks so much for watching, and I'm not quite sure when the next one will be, but I will post it on Twitter. And I'm also starting to post these on YouTube, so if you miss one, you can watch it there. All right. I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. Thanks.